Hey, my name is Nadia and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be making probably one of my top 5 favorite desserts, Štrudla, or you might know it a little bit better as strudel. And in case you still have no idea what I'm talking about, essentially we're going to be making a dough, filling it with poppy seeds and walnuts, rolling it up, baking it, and of course eating it. The special part about this Štrudla is that it's my great-grandmother's recipe, and I'm actually going to be using some of her old kitchen tools to get the job done, along with some more modern appliances. And of course we have my mom on the sidelines helping out as I go because this is my first time making this. So on that note, let's get cooking. We're going to start off by activating our yeast. So I have some warm milk to which I'm going to add yeast and sugar, give it a good mix, and then leave it in a warm place for a few minutes to activate. We're going to be doing something a little bit different with this dough. So I measured out 1 kilogram of flour, which is about 8 to 9 cups, and we're going to add half of it to KitchenAid, the stand mixer, who is fitted with a dough hook attachment. You can continue adding the dry ingredients, so a little bit of sugar, vanilla sugar, and salt. And then once the yeast is activated, you can add that along with the eggs, oil, lemon zest, and some milk. On a pretty low speed, you want to combine these ingredients, and as it's mixing, you're going to add a few more spoons of flour. In total, I probably added 2/3 of the 1 kilogram that I measured. But don't get rid of it just yet because we are going to continue adding it a little later on. After I scraped down the sides of the bowl, I stopped the mixer and finished it by hand.
How long do I have to do this for? Till the sweat comes down your
Oh my god, well it's coming! Face is like red.
Just wait.
You're gonna let it sit for a few minutes so that the gluten can activate, and that's also gonna make the dough a lot easier to work with. As I'm finishing the dough off with my hands, I'm gonna continue adding flour from the original 1 kilogram that I measured earlier.
Like fast. Like that.
Oh my god. It's working.
Yeah.
Oh my god. This is... makes me appreciate the mixer. I kept adding flour until the dough wasn't sticking to anything. I'm struggling here. This is what they did in the olden days. I don't know why they kept making bread. And then I did my best to split it into 3 even-ish rounds and made them look pretty. And then I put them on a tray that was sprinkled with some flour and covered them with the dishcloth so that they could rest for another 10 minutes or so. Just close your eyes, don't look.
Oh, the flour now is going to go on the stove. Show how much flour you got left. You're going to need a little bit more to put when you're rolling, but not much, so you didn't use the whole kilo.
I'm going to be baking this Štrudla in a pan that is 38 centimeters long, which means that when I roll out my dough, I'm going to aim to have it be about 30 centimeters so it can fit in the pan and it has room to expand. Starting with the first round I placed on the tray, I'm going to roll it out using my great-grandmother's rolling pin. It's what, like 30 years old at this point? More than 30 years old, so it's seen it all. It's pretty cool to think that she made Štrudla with the same rolling pin, and now, like a bunch of years later, I'm doing the exact same thing. Once the dough has kind of a rectangular shape, you can add your filling. So first up, we have ground walnuts. For this filling, you're going to grind about 500 grams of walnuts, which is approximately 6 cups. This is our historic grinder that we have used for years. It has also seen it all. To the ground walnuts, you're going to add sugar, vanilla sugar, and zest from 1 lemon. Mix that all together and spread it on your rolled out dough. My dough was on the smaller side, so I actually only ended up using 300 of the 500 grams of the walnut filling. You can add all of it. It's not going to ruin the Štrudla at all. We're going to save ours and probably use it in a Štrudla that we make in the future, but if you like your filling, just go ahead and add it. Once the filling is spread evenly, take half a cup of warm water and sprinkle it all over. This is going to help make the filling nice and moist. Yes, Mom? Oh, milk. I wrote milk, sorry. Then you have to roll the Štrudla, and for this you want to keep it nice and tight. It's best if you avoid putting too much filling at the end of the dough so that when you do get there, the dough can stick to itself and kind of seal. This roll is going seam down in a pan that I sprayed with cooking spray, and it's going to sit covered with a dishcloth while I roll out the next Štrudla, which we're going to fill with, I think, probably my favorite filling of all time, poppy seed. For 1 poppy seed Štrudla, you're going to need about 400 grams of poppy seeds or 3 cups. Okay. And you can always put more if you like. We're going to have to grind up these poppy seeds. So in 2022, we are just using a blender. It does the job really quickly. But way back when, I guess Baja, my great-grandmother, used this. a manual seed grinder. This is the first time I've ever seen this, so. I didn't use this time around, but it's definitely interesting. It has this like little space where you can kind of screw it onto like your counter or table or whatever. I feel like it would take forever to grind the poppy seeds this way, but it's pretty cool. I actually checked, and you can get these on Amazon like for $60 or $70. They look the exact same, they're just stainless steel, so if you really want to do things the old school way, now you can. If you're unable to, or you don't want to grind your own poppy seeds, you can buy them already ground. Just be careful because sometimes they have sugar in them, and if you want to be able to control how much sugar you put in this dish, then just keep that in mind. Just like we did for the walnuts, to the poppy seeds, you're going to add sugar, vanilla sugar, and lemon zest. On a side note, the lemon zest is wrapped in saran wrap because my mom helped me a whole lot while making the Strudla, including preparing the ingredients. So to keep the lemon zest nice and fresh, you just wrap it in some saran wrap, and then when you're ready to go, you just add it to what you need to add it to. Spread the poppy seeds evenly on your rolled out dough. I put all of the poppy seeds. You could add more, you could add less. I love a good poppy seed filling, so I added all of it. And again, just sprinkle with milk. Now, I like a wet Strudla. We had a local grocery store that made the best Strudla in the world. The poppy seed filling was basically like a paste. It was amazing. And then they changed their recipe and it really just went downhill. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, why don't you just make this filling in your Strudla really wet and it'll taste amazing? But then there's my mother who comes in and reminds me that that's not a real Strudla. A real Strudla, the poppy seed filling is a little bit drier. So that's what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna sprinkle it with half a cup of milk and we're gonna see how it turns out. Like I said earlier, we split the dough into 3 rounds, which means 3 Strudlas. So I just made another poppy seed and added it to the pan, seam down always. And these Strudlas are going to sit like this, covered with a cloth in the oven, proofing for about 1 hour. Keep this step in mind when you're choosing what pan you're gonna bake your Strudla in, because you want to be able to obviously fit the Strudla in there and let it have room to expand when it rises, and then even more room when it bakes. After they rose, the Strudlas went in the oven at 375 for 15 minutes, and then we reduced the temperature to 325, and they were in there for about 30 minutes. Now, the beauty with this is that you can choose what color you want the crust of the Strudla to be. So for the first 15 minutes, we left them completely uncovered and they got a really nice deep golden brown color. And then after that, we covered them with some tin foil so that the color kind of stayed the same on the outside, but they could continue to bake. Every oven is going to be different, so you might have to cover it the whole time, you might not have to cover it at all. That's for you to decide. Right when they came out of the oven, we rubbed them with some butter and then covered them again with a dishcloth. When you're ready, you can transfer them to a wire rack, and when they're completely cooled, you can cut into them. Some people sprinkle the tops with icing sugar. I don't think we've ever done that, but be my guest, you can go ahead and try. I'm gonna dig into the walnut one first. There's a whole lot of filling in this. I don't I don't think I've ever seen a Strudla this filled before. This is, I'm sorry mom to say, I think this is the best Strudla I've ever had in my entire life. This is really good. Partly because there's so much filling, but I really like it. I'm gonna try the poppy seed one now. You can kind of see, like, I think there is a little bit too much filling, if that's even possible. Definitely possible. But the top kind of disconnected a little bit because when they were baking, they touched, and then when you pull the rolls apart, it kind of is just a little bit too thin, but that's okay because you can't even see the dough. It's literally just poppy seeds. Oh, I'm so excited. The poppy seed Strudla is really good. It has a lot of poppy seeds in it. It's not too dry, but I definitely think I could have toned it down on the filling just a little bit, or if I roll the dough out to be a little bit thicker, I think it would have made it just, but the walnut one, oh, that's a good one. From this recipe, which will be in the description box below, you are going to get 3 Strudlas. Of course, you can reduce the dough recipe so that you only make 1. You can adjust the filling. If you like a lot of filling, add more. If you don't like a lot of filling, add less. It's really up to you. No matter what you do, you're not gonna ruin the Strudla. Even I think I rolled it out too thin, but I think it gave it a little bit like a cool spiral effect, and it's it's just delicious. If you have made it this far, you're probably thinking, I've seen this recipe before, and that's because you have. This recipe and the krofne recipe are almost identical. There are just a few tiny little differences, but I mean, it really comes down to the way that they are baked. The krofne are fried, whereas the Strudla we bake in the oven. It's kind of cool to think how almost the exact same ingredients made completely two different desserts. Just food for thought. I find that really entertaining. The one thing that I probably could have done a little bit better is the rolling part of the Strudla. You can see there are some almost like air gaps between the filling and the dough itself. That's just because I didn't roll it tight enough. Again, it doesn't ruin the Strudla. If anything, it just makes it a little harder to eat because it falls apart a little bit easier, but it's totally fine. It's still delicious. Finally, our Serbian word of the day is oklagija, which means rolling pin. That's all for me this week, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you have an awesome Easter, and I will see you soon. Bye. I can't say Štrudla very well today, but the proof is in the pudding. Or in this case, the recipe down below in the description box. It's kind of cool to think how the exact, the special part about this, oh my god, yes.
Except you use the mixer, you cheated.
Okay, fair. I think that's the nicest dough I've ever needed.
You need to sweat to have a nice dough.
I feel like I have poppy seeds all over my teeth now, but that's okay. The thing with the poppy seed Strudla is it can definitely be a little more dry. This one I don't think is overly dry. Like poppy seeds stuck in my throat. After they rise, these are going straight in the oven at 350 for about 15 minutes. 375. It's just a tip that can help you out. I'm gonna say that again because that was bad. Okay. I'm getting it. After they rose, the Strudlas went in the oven at 375. Okay. This one is definitely, okay. This roll is going in a pan that I sprayed with this Strudla. As it's mixing, oh wait, no. Okay, so here we have 1,580 grams of dough. So divided by 3,
It's about 500 grams.
526.
Well, don't worry about the 26, it's very little.